Welcome to another episode of the Business Spotlight. I'm joined today by the founder and CEO of Kairospace Technologies, Juan Bravin. Juan, thank you for being a guest on today's Business Spotlight. I'm excited to learn more about you and your business. Juan, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Thank you, Edgar. It's a pleasure being here. So I'm originally from Mendoza, Argentina. I'm an industrial engineer, and basically what I'm doing at Kairospace is following my life purpose, that is to develop technologies to solve world's most pressing problems. And at Kairospace, I joined forces with two of my favorite researchers in the water sector. And what we're doing is to build a platform of water technologies that can be used to optimize many industrial processes. Basically, any process that makes use of water could be optimized by integrating our technologies. And what we have done initially is to launch a product line for agriculture and for turf. So basically, the idea is to enhance the water qualities, to promote plant growth, to reduce the amount of chemicals and inputs that are being used to keep the crops healthy. And it also has the possibility of treating wastewater discharges that may come from like food processing facilities or any other type of like food production facility.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And how did you guys come up with like, hey, this is something we definitely need in the marketplace?
Well, basically, it all starts like I set up a plan to develop technologies in the fields
Mhm.
of water treatment, food production, energy, and health. So I look for which were the main problems there.
Mm,
And in the sector of water, it's really interesting what is happening because everybody sees water as a resource, but we want to turn water into an asset
mm.
because by combining water with different physical processes, you can optimize its performance and you can turn it, like, for example, with our machines, what we do is to get water, we pass it through our systems, we inject different gases that will promote plant biology, we can inject different gases that will treat the pH of the water, or that can help in treating wastewater. So basically, we're seeing that like through the incorporation of certain equipments in precise locations throughout a production process, you can optimize those efficiencies. And basically, nowadays, that the world is seeing a paradox. Like
Yeah.
we have the rampant overuse of water resources on one hand, and on the other hand, we have technologies to make it better, to solve partially at least those issues, but are not being applied. So that's how like kind of we created this system. And we started with agriculture, despite being one of the hardest market to penetrate, but because it's where we could have the largest impact.
Mm.
Since we are based in Las Vegas, what we have also done is to prepare a program because there are many food producers in Las Vegas due to its weather conditions. So we have also prepared a program to apply our technologies to enhance the quality of the water for lake and ponds, swimming pools, and even for optimizing the heat transfer in cooling towers.
Right.
So outside Las Vegas, we are targeting early adopters in agriculture. Inside Las Vegas, we are establishing another lines of businesses that could help to deploy our technologies and provide value to the type of customers that we find locally.
Yeah, it sounds like for you guys, Juan, it's exciting times. There's a lot of growth. There's a lot of avenues, right, and niches that you guys are specifically going towards, and that's exciting, right? Knowing that, hey, look, here in Vegas, we have a extreme heat problem, and what that does to water is it evaporates quickly, right? If you think about pools, for example, all the chemicals that we have to have in the pool to be able to balance the waters, and knowing that, hey, your technology and what you created can reduce that, I think it'll grab a lot of people's attention, especially knowing that, most of us don't want all those chemicals on our bodies, right?
Yeah, definitely. And well, it's pretty interesting because basically all those chemicals that are being used are there like to support imbalances in the water. And
Mm-hmm.
basically, since it's very hot, the water loses oxygen. By losing oxygen, it becomes an environment where algae and mold can thrive. So The idea that we have is like to introduce oxygen into the water. It will help reduce the surface tension of the water. The water will feel more silky, and you can cut down on the use of like clarifiers or like chlorine to keep the water disinfected. So basically, kind of like the same conditions apply, like for example, for food washing processes. And you start to see like a trend, that every place that you need water and that you use chemicals, those chemicals can be replaced or made to act more efficiently by pre-treating the water with our technologies.
Mm. Yeah, and I'm sure like creating this, right, and knowing, hey, we're onto something with this technology. There was a lot of peaks and valleys. Can you share some of those moments where you were, you know, thinking, man, are we on the right track, right? We know business can be challenging. So, what are some of the challenges that you guys face when developing the product?
Well, when like the technologies that we're working, like for example, the use of nanobubbles, it's kind of like a new technology. It was theorized that you could like create nanobubbles in a fluid.
Mm-hmm.
What is particularly interesting about nanobubbles is that when you go one order in magnitude lower in the size of the bubble, they change behavior. So
Mm.
bubbles do not rise and burst, if not that they stay in the body of the liquid for larger periods of time. So, well, that has a lot of applications. And I think that one of the challenges that we face is that of focusing, and like, okay, which market we're going to penetrate first, and which market we're going to penetrate
Mm.
secondly. And as a startup, like this is something that I learned as we go, that usually startups do not die because of a lack of opportunity, but because they choke on opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And so learning to say no has been one challenge. I'm like, yes guy, but now we have started to say no and trying to focus. We have one line in ag, we have brought a biz dev partner to help us push on that line of sales, and now we're looking for partners in Las Vegas for the deployment of our technologies in these other niches. And basically what we're trying to do as Kairospace is to become like a technology supplier and to get partners that can help us to develop the technologies in their own niches, like for example,
Mm.
pool maintenance, like for example, agriculture, like for example, HVAC and air conditioning systems.
Right, right, right. And that's exciting. That's growth, right? And that's learning, hey, look, we're gonna evolve over time. Juan, with that being said, that leads to my next question is, what do you see as the biggest opportunity in your industry?
Well, water is like the blue gold, Basically, if any country or population in the world wants to thrive, they depend on having access to energy and water. And water has been like left behind to say, like if you look into the investments done into climate tech, water only gets like less than 1% of the total amount of investments into climate tech. And it's weird because basically water is being used across every process or every activity of human development. Water is involved and has been left aside. I think that like for investors, there are reasons to do that. Developing water technologies, well, it's hardware based, so you need to build machines. Building machines takes time, takes money, it takes longer validation periods, and investors that are looking for a fast return and they want you be like that 10x in 2 years, sometimes do not feel so driven to jump on board. But basically, well, I think that like we should consider, like a ranking of honor or something else to measure the impact that investors have other than the money that they generate.
Right.
Now you start to see, like impact driven investors, but at the end of the day, like they're always trying to maximize the investment for their
Mm.
LPs, which makes a lot of sense. But as humanity, we really need to focus on solving water issues because if not, like the life cycle will break.
Mm. Right. And talking about life cycle, that actually leads to the next question. And that's really good insights. You're sharing really good information that's very impactful, right? And knowing that whether you're a startup or you've been in business for years, you're gonna have challenges and you gotta learn how to maneuver, not necessarily pivot, but just learn how to maneuver, adapt, and overcome, right? But with the time thing, like there's a lot of business owners that struggling on how they manage their time, right? So how do you prioritize and manage your time efficiently?
Well, that's a good question, and I have to say I'm not an expert yet on managing my time. And basically, well, what I try to do, this, you have to create patterns, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you create a pattern and you repeat it, it's like you put a flywheel to spin, and that flywheel gets more inertia, and as it spins faster, you become more productive. So basically, what I'm trying to do in managing my time is like to set up kind of like rigorous schedules where I start the day doing this, like exercise, meditation, reading what I read to do the previous day,
Yep.
and start to with the task. I usually try to prepare my day the day before,
Yes.
and so I have a clear idea on what I have to do next. Sometimes like life happens and urgent things come, unexpected calls come, and that like sometimes puts you on a delay on certain tracks. But basically, I think that good advice is try to the day before
Yep.
program what you're gonna do the day next, and to establish like a routine. I don't use like for example like a task manager that often, like only for certain projects that we do. But what I do, for example, is to turn my calendar into a task office. So I put, okay, this amount of time is gonna be for this thing. This amount of time is gonna be for that thing.
Mm.
And if I finish it, okay. If not, I continue with the following task and I can finish it the next day. So I try to organize my time like that, other than just like having a really long task manager with a lot of tasks to be done. I try like just to say, okay, this piece of time is for this specific project. This piece of time is for this specific project.
Yep.
And based on that, I organize it.
Yeah, you did two really important things. I want to make sure people don't miss this. Is number one is having that calendar so you know what you have going on, right? And looking at it the day before so you know exactly what you need to execute the next day. The second thing you said, and for me this was a nugget. The second thing you said was if the time runs out, if the time runs out, you stop that task and you start on the next task that's on the agenda. That I think is critical because a lot of people will just continue on with that task. And what you said is, I'll just follow up on that task the next day, right? That's what keeps you prioritized. That's what keeps you honest on your time and being able to have that discipline. That's huge. So good on you for that. Final
Well, I'm
question for
saying that
me.
it's a recipe.
Yep, yep.
Sorry, well, I'm not saying that that is a recipe that will be useful for everybody. It can is useful for me because of the like workload that I have and the type of projects that I manage.
Right.
And what usually happens, is that if I'm working in a project or on a task, and if I spend an hour and I didn't finish it, it's because there is like some sort of blockage. So it's good, like, okay, I'm just gonna leave it there. And during the day, usually you start like to think, new ideas come, and the next day you like are refreshed and you go to the face that task with new insights that you receive during
Yes.
the day as a form of inspiration.
Yep. Yep. 100%. Which leads to my final question, Juan, is along this entrepreneurship journey, what have you personally learned about yourself?
Well, I thought that it was gonna be easier. The previous work that I had, I established a company with my father and my brother, and we were like building an engineer building system for the development of local social programs in Latin America.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a different rhythm. We only had like one product, we only had like one thing to do, try to get sales, talk with people in the dorms and all that. But it wasn't like the road of like starting a company from scratch,
Mm.
developing the product. We spent like 2 years developing the technologies. We have got to a really good point. We have validated our technologies. And we're like, for being a really small startup, the performance of our technologies are matched to the top competitors that we have in the different fields of the technologies that we have developed. So I think that one thing that I learned is it's hard. The other thing that I learned is that if you don't stop, it doesn't die.
That's right.
And show up every day and you do a little bit of the work. We have been like under extreme circumstances a couple of times throughout the growth of Kairospace, like seeing, okay, where are we gonna get money next? But what we end up always realizing is that if we don't stop, then okay, a customer shows up, an investor that is interested shows up, and that's I think like the most important thing, to keep going, keep grinding, and never stop, because basically if you're pursuing your purpose, if you stop, you lose and you become a person that will not be happy for the rest of their lives. So it's better to do hard things and that will make life easier than to do easy things that will make life harder.
Mm.
And that's a little bit the thing that I can take from this experience at Kairospace.
Yeah, knowing not to give up, never quit. Know that if you're pursuing your passion, right, things will happen. In having those right conversations, and knowing that, hey, look, business is not going to be easy, but if you are pursuing your passion, it's not a job. It's something that you're passionate about. You know, you're making a difference. Everything else will be there with that proper guidance. Juan, is there any? What's the best way for people to connect with you if they're looking to learn more about your product in best ways, or are there any type of promotions you guys are offering right now?
Yeah, well, to reach me, I think that the best way is via email, and juan@kairospacetech.com. If not, you can go to our website, kairospacetech.com, and right there on the contact form. And basically, right now, as we grow, we are looking for early adopters in the fields of agriculture, in lake and pond maintenance, and swimming pools, and HVAC in Las Vegas. And so if anybody is interested, we have now some machines in stock ready for deployment. And well, basically we're like targeting people that want to learn how they can do better with the water that they use on their processes. And I think that, well, that has been also one of the most challenging things, that we're working with technologies that are not widely known,
Mm.
despite that there is a lot of scientific research and a lot of validation from other companies out there working with similar technologies, but they still haven't like become the standard. So if you are a grower or a person that has in charge of a lake maintenance program or something like that, reach us out. We will be happy to share with you insights and the knowledge that we have gathered in how you can make a better use of the water and to save it, to cut down on chemicals, and to have like a smaller footprint basically on the ecosystem.
Yes. Well, thank you, Juan, for being on this episode of the Business Spotlight, and I look forward to connecting with you.
Thank you, Edgar. It's been a pleasure. Have a great day.